Right, and we're going live. All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, Season 5, Episode 14. Welcome to the greatest show on Mondays at our new time of 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, coming in early for you guys. So some of you are coming back from work. Some of you guys just walked in the door. Please let us, with our illustrious, suave sounds, soothe your ears and lead you into some of the more entertainment topics for the evening. So first off, we have to do our introductions. We have the Caesar of Cinema himself, the Baron of Britain, Mr. James Wilson. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing very well. My awards gremlin persona has gone full tilt over the past couple days. It's been great. Love the Oscars. I'm not sad at all that I lost out on winning £3,000 on a big accumulator bet because I stupidly mispredicted Best Actor and Best Song. But that's a story for another day.
All right, and we have the White Wolf himself, fresh off the presses from Windows Central, Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey, it is good to be here. Hope everyone's doing well. A little bit earlier than usual. That should mean James is a little more awake than usual, which I love. Yeah, this will be fun. Let's talk about some Mortal Kombat. Oh, and the Oscars, I guess.
All right, and we also have the man, the myth, the legend, making his second debut on the show after 5 years plus of pestering, Mr. Inferno.
What's going on, guys? Get ready for some juicy hot takes about MK. I'm so ready.
Right, and we also have the man of perfection, Mr. Perfect Shogun, joining us this evening.
Yo, what's up? I'm here to talk mostly Mortal Kombat and I guess gaming news, and I'm going to channel the great, the phenomenal Joseph Ferris in saying "fuck the Oscars." So
Oh, and I do have to ask because, as we know on the show, there is a unspoken requirement. Did you bring the step ladder, sir?
I do have the stepladder, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
good. As we all know, you're on the show. Everyone who's allowed on here is at least 6 foot. But for the first time, Mr. Shogun is not 6 foot, so I have to publicly bring this up so we can just make him feel better. All right, so we're gonna get things started. But first off, the immortal question we ask every single week: what have you guys been playing? Let's start with Shogun here, fresh on the step ladder, sir. What have you been playing, sir?
Oh man, so what have I been playing? I played a lot. I got into the iOS xCloud beta, I think Friday. So I actually played through all of Donut County on my phone, which I heard people talk about the game, had no clue actually why. I didn't know anything about the game when I started it, and it's actually a really cool, nice little small game. It's kind of puzzly, but not super puzzly. It's nothing too complex. And there's a boss fight at the end, which is odd for a puzzle game, but it worked. I really enjoyed that. Outside of that, I have been playing just sparsely here and there. Just I played a little bit of Halo Master Chief Collection because there's a new map for Halo 3. And yeah, that's about it. Everything else is just kind of. I've been playing Octopath Traveler. That's probably one of the biggest other biggest games, and that of course playing that on Xbox through Game Pass. Even though I do own the Switch version, I never finished it, but I'm going through on Xbox now. So
Quick
I
question.
love Octopath Traveler.
All right, quick question for you. Did anyone else in the panel here get a chance to do the xCloud beta for PC? Everybody else?
I got invited, but I have not been able to actually try it out yet. I haven't had the chance.
So, Shogun, what was your experience like doing this? I think you're the first person here I think who's actually a chance to actually do it. How was that experience for you?
So it's kind of odd. I guess I can kind of go into some more of the games I tried out on it. I think the first thing I tried was no, the first thing I tried with touch controls, with the on-screen touch controls was Killer Instinct, and one of the issues I've had with pretty much every game is there's always these slight minutes of like really bad connection where it gets to the point of just kind of being unresponsive on screen, even though your inputs are kind of still being taken. I've noticed. So there's that. But it's very, very slight. It's not really something that's too obtrusive. I'd say if you're playing a turn-based game or something that doesn't really require Twitch controls. When I tried the Master Chief Collection on it, I played one game, and I'm not sure if it's either the controller that I'm using, because I'm using the Razer Kishi. I haven't tried it with a Xbox One or Series XS controller yet, so I don't know if that's part of the problem that I'm having with the movement of the sticks. But it was kind of hard for me to aim a little bit, noticeable lag, and then I think like the dead zone of that the analogs on there is just not attuned to what I need it to be. So outside of those kind of middling issues, it's not bad. I actually started uh the Elder Scrolls Online on there just as kind of a way to see how that moved. And like a lot of the movement feels very one-to-one. It's definitely got like a millisecond or two of lag input, especially versus using a traditional console to to play a game on. But it's not bad. It's like real. It's nearly perfect. Like so, it's definitely getting improvements, and it will continue to get improvements. And I'm enjoying it right now.
All right. So also our other guest for the evening, Mr. Inferno. What have you been playing lately, sir?
All right. Well, before I get to my addiction, before that, I have been playing the Yakuza franchise. I am currently on 4, but the interruption to the Yakuza franchises has been Outriders on Game Pass. I currently have over 4 days worth of playtime in it, and I just keep going, even though the servers say no, you cannot. I keep playing it, and yeah, and other friends are starting to complain. Hey, you want to play anything else? No, not really. So that's where I've been stuck on for the past days since this came out.
Yeah. I've noticed you've been on that for a good long while. All right, and James,
Can I just add real quick? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can I just add real quick? I forgot one thing. I've been playing a little bit of MLB The Show as well. So there's that.
Nice. All right, James, you had a chance to play anything, sir, or you just been more focused on this awards season?
Mostly on the award season. I have, however, 2 days ago started up a proper replay through of The Last of Us 2. I'm finally going back to it, like nearly a year removed. But I'm going all in. I'm going permadeath, grounded. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to kill myself doing it, but I'm going to do it. So yeah. Like it radically changes like the first encounter with like the enemies that you can beat, but like because that threat of permadeath, having to go through all those cutscenes again, I'm just like, oh, I need to do this. Hell yeah, the game's still great.
Sam, you have a chance to play anything?
Yeah, not too much, but I mean, not too much in terms of variety. Actually, I've played quite a bit of The Last of Us Part 2 because here's the reason. This is only the second time I've played it, and that thing is taking up a lot of space on my PS5, and I haven't the platinum yet. So I'm like, okay, a second playthrough, I'm going to get all the collectibles, I'm going to go in depth, get all the trophies, so I can delete it off of here and get the platinum. So I've put, I think, 10, 11 hours into that. Not quite halfway yet. So that's been good. But other than that, no, not really.
All right, not bad. For me, I'm not too interesting lately. A little bit of Outriders, playing Crash Bandicoot, oddly enough. So, just did a little bit of everything. We started Minecraft Dungeons the other night. Did that over the weekend. With Flack and some of the guys, so that was fun. I've had a good time playing that. Other than that, not much to report here. 100%ed Rainbow, so I'm kind of like in this weird lull of like, what do I do with my life now? So, other than that, it's been pretty good. All right, so we're gonna get some of these topics. There's not a lot of gaming news this evening, so if you guys are tuning in, I'm gonna give you guys a quick preview of like normally we'll try to split it up a little bit for you guys, so a little bit of gaming, a little bit of everything else. But in this case, we're gonna do all the gaming topics for up front. Sam's gonna kind of give us the quick rundown because there really wasn't much to talk about this week, at least for us. So it's mostly just been little things here and there. After that, we're gonna talk about some of the Oscar stuff, and we're gonna end it on Mortal Kombat. We'll start it off with the non-spoilery bits, and then we'll do spoilers at the end. Because I feel like this is the kind of movie you can't really spoil it because it's mostly a visual spectacle kind of thing, more than anything else. But
But we
let's just
want
give
to
you
know how they test their might.
yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of the gist of how we're gonna do this for this evening. So let's go ahead and get started on some of the gaming topics in particular. As far as I'm aware, the only real thing that happened was we got some, well, at least over the weekend, we got some more impressions about Returnal. It kind of really happened. We got a trailer for Ratchet and Clank. So
Yeah,
Sam, lead us
both
through.
of those. Okay, so really quickly, yeah, journalists have Returnal right now. Early impressions seem positive, but note that the game is very difficult. That's basically what it is so far. People saying like, "Hey, the story is really good here. There's some creepy stuff. It's actually got like almost a bit of Control, like Remedy-esque influence into Housemarque." But at the same time, they're warning like, "Hey, this is a Housemarque game. It's tough. It's bullet hell." So keep that in mind. So this is also, I'm going to be blunt with you, Ivan. This is one of those rare games. I don't know where the reviews are going to land. And I know multiple people playing the game right now. I could not tell you where the Open Critic Metascore is going to land. Like I can see this going either way, depending on how it all comes together. But I'm definitely curious. I want this to be a win for Housemarque, for sure.
This is their first really big game. I want to see them succeed too, but we'll see.
Exactly. Exactly.
I will say the one impression that
one tidbit. Sorry, go ahead.
The one impression that got me kind of concerned was someone on I want to say it was Reset Era. They had compared it to Wolfenstein 2 Mein Leben difficulty. Like that is ridiculously hard.
So that is ridiculous. I will note that was PowerPix, the YouTube channel that does all the collect all trophies. So I'm pretty sure the context they were referring to was getting the platinum. To be fair, which is a little less
makes me feel a little better.
Just playing the game. Yeah, no, I saw the same thing, dude. I shared it with Eric and Nick. When I saw that, I was like, "Yo, pardon me," but then Mein Leben, for anyone who doesn't know, is one of the rarest like completions in the world. I think right now there are 157 people who have done it on all three platforms.
Like this is like one hit death.
It's nobody.
One hit death, restart the game. Like it's ridiculous. Like that's the difficulty you do not joke with. But all right, so what else happened other than that? We got the trailer for Ratchet and Clank. Show a little more about the new character Rivet.
Yep, the female Lombax protagonist, and it looks good. Good music. I like the trailer. The game looks gorgeous, and it's actually PS5 exclusive. Like it's actually only available on the new hardware. You can't play it on your PS4, and I appreciate that. I'm glad we're actually getting some games now that you can only play on the newest hardware, and they're pushing the technology forward. I really appreciate that. June 11th, and we've got a state of play coming up in 3 days. That's on Thursday, I believe, at 5 p.m. Eastern time this Thursday, where they're going to show 15 minutes of gameplay. So that'll be pretty cool.
Ooh. I'm excited. I really love Insomniac. They were part of the reason why I got an Xbox One the time I did, Sunset Overdrive, and part of the reason why I got a PS4 Pro when I did 2018 with Spider-Man and God of War, double whammy that year. So I really do love Insomniac.
Did you get the special Spider-Man PS4?
No, I got the God of War PS4.
All right.
That God of
Good
War
man.
was subtle,
Good man.
but did look really nice.
That was probably their best custom PS4 Pro, in my personal opinion.
Yes, that or the clear is a bluish one. That one had mine too, but God of War.
What was it? The 1 million anniversary or whatever that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
25.
Not
I think.
anniversary. It was the number of units.
Oh yeah.
It's like 100 million units sold or something like that for like PlayStation and all. Something like that.
Oh, and I had the white Xbox One that came with Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, and Insomniac's always been a solid one. I mean, like I said, Insomniac has a special place in my heart. They made the first game I ever felt the need to actually beat completely, and that was Spyro. So it was the first game I ever beat because it's the first game I ever felt like I needed to. Anyway, other than that, any other gaming topics really? There wasn't, like I said, there really wasn't much this week.
There's some tidbits. If you have an Xbox Series S or an Xbox Series X, this is pretty cool. There's some more FPS boost games. But FPS boost, for anyone who doesn't know, is the technology Microsoft is using to automatically double, or in very rare cases, quadruple frame rates without the developer doing anything. I don't understand how it works. It's technology wizardry, but they applied that to a bunch of EA games, including Titanfall 2 and the original Titanfall. So if you have a Series X or a Series S for some of the games, Series S doesn't have support for all of them, you can go play like Mirror's Edge Catalyst, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, Titanfall, Titanfall 2, Battlefront 2. You can play all those games at 120 FPS on the newest Xbox, which is pretty cool.
All right. Oh, I think that kind of covers all of our our gaming topics. There just wasn't much. But yeah, we're gonna cover
If
some
I could
more
add
games. Please
If I could add real quick, there were 2 games announced to be coming to Game Pass today. One was Dragon Quest Builders 2. That's coming when it comes, I think in May. And so is what was it? Knockout City, the open area dodgeball arena type game that was showed off at one of the more recent Nintendo showcases. So those are, that one's coming to Game Pass via EA Play, basically, because I guess it's published by EA. So both of those games are coming to Game Pass day one.
Right. Nice. Yep. And speaking of Game Pass, actually they got like a couple of games coming out that I'm really interested in. Actually, this week that I think about it, we got Second Extinction, which I'm excited to play. For those who don't know what we're talking about there.
Yeah, that's probably the closest thing we're going to get to another Turok game at this rate.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll take it.
It's kind of like if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it's a it's like basically Left 4 Dead with dinos. It's all I can really say, really. But maybe a
Exactly.
little more Far Cry vibe to it, maybe. But in terms of like open world map and that kind of thing. But yeah, it looks good. Looks like fun. And from everything I'm reading about preview wise, they're saying actually it's pretty much a completed game. Like it's all it's really missing at this point is that something like technically wrong with it. It's mostly just like, hey, long term reasons to play. And it's more like they're adding little things like that, and they got like a couple more months in the roadmap left for a full official release, and we're gonna get Game Pass. So, what else was there? There was I have it on my list. Let me go pull it up real quick. I wanted to make a note of it for the show today. Oh yeah, the Destroy All Humans is also coming out with the Series X and S patch already going to be added on to Game Pass on the 28th. Looks cool.
Awesome.
Right. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the Oscars here, and for that, I must always divert any and such authority over to the Caesar of cinema himself, Mr. James Wilson. James, what was the Oscars like this year?
Weird. Thank you and good night.
All right, well, so I'll go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you basically can sum it up with just the one word weird. They really tried to do something different in, the living in the world that we live in now, which fair enough. It didn't work for me. And like The Prestige is a great movie, but it also was lacking in the ceremony, in my opinion. So it was produced by Steven Soderbergh, who most people know as the director of the Oceans films, and other stuff. And he, instead of doing it normally in like the Dolby Theatre in Los Angeles, he set it in Grand Union Station. And so you have this tiny room filled with, because normally in the Oscars you look out into the audience and it's filled with the elite of Hollywood. Whereas to this year it was just the nominees and like very choice extras. And there was a soft focus on most of the cameras. The frame rate was lower. It was at 24 frames a second, which is like the frame rate of a movie instead of like the average like 35 to 40 that you get in television, especially live television for a broadcast. So it had this weird feel to it. Did anyone else watch the broadcast, or was it just me?
I watched bits and pieces of it. Like I would tune every so
Okay.
often just to take a look at it, and that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With regards to like how the show ran, and like they did some weird things. They mucked about with the order, which is, it's not like a set in stone. You have to give this award at this time and this award at this time. But traditionally, they start with like the best supporting actor, so they get like a big award out of the way, and then they sort of chunk the middle with all of the technical stuff, the short films, the documentary short, documentary, international film, all of that. They completely messed about with the order, which I'm okay with to a point. We'll get onto the point in a bit. In terms of like wins, a lot of the stuff is what has been happening in all of the ceremonies. Nomadland swept as much as it can. It won 3 awards for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress. Chloe Zhao, who's directing The Eternals for Marvel, she becomes only the second woman to win Best Director at the Oscars. And Frances McDormand joins the illustrious company of Katharine Hepburn and Daniel Day-Lewis in 3 wins in 1 category. Meryl Streep has won 2 leads and a supporting. Frances McDormand won 3 Best Actress awards for Fargo, 3 Billboards, and now Nomadland. So good on her. Best Supporting Actor, big shout out to Daniel Kaluuya in Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm yet to see this movie, but goddamn, I just love him. He's such a brilliant actor, and I can't wait to see it. By all reports, it's an outstanding film. Promising Young Woman, I got to see this earlier this week. Jesus Christ, this film is a goddamn it's like a fever dream. It's just so tense. It's like it's like if anyone saw Uncut Gems, it's that level of just making you feel sick inside. And especially as a man watching it, who it's just, watch this movie, watch Promising Young Woman, god damn it, watch it with as many people as you can, and then just bask in that unbelievably awkward silence that will just appear at very specific moments in the film. And that won Best Original Screenplay for Emerald Fennell. So, well done to her for her first ever nomination for screenplay. On her first feature screenplay, she wins the Oscar. That's a big deal, and good for her. Personal things. I'm annoyed that My Octopus Teacher won Best Documentary Feature, but they didn't thank the octopus in the speech. I think that was an oversight. And also, it's sort of like the tradition that throughout the broadcast, they will have the performances of all the songs that are nominated for Best Song. It's a great way to, mostly for people at home to know when they go to use the bathroom or make some food. But it's also just great to like break up the ceremony, to have stuff that isn't just people talking and then clips of things. But they had them all on the pre-show. And I just think that's a massive oversight in a in a situation where you can get pre-recorded performances and get them amazing, you could have done really cool cinematic things, and it would have made the broadcast so much more enjoyable. I just think that's a massive mistake on their part. What was I going to talk about before the main topic? What was it? It was a thing. Damn it. No? Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about the main thing. So I mentioned earlier these moving around of topics, and they moved Best Picture. They moved Best Picture from last to third last. And then so the last three awards went Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Actor. From a punter's point of view, this is very, very obvious why this happened. It's because the producers of the show and the Academy were banking on Chadwick Boseman winning the Oscar for Best Actor in a posthumous award. Historically, posthumous awards have just about always won, and in the acting categories, they absolutely always win. The problem, and I didn't know this, I thought everyone knew this, is that the Academy don't know who's won when the awards get announced. All of the vote counting is done by PricewaterhouseCoopers, the accounting firm, and only they know. And not even like the entire company. It's like 7 and 10 people. They are the only people that know the results ahead of time, because somebody has to write it on the cards. So the Academy did this entire thing. They moved about the structure of the awards just to benefit this one moment happening. And then it didn't happen, and people on Twitter were not happy about it. And this is the point where I have to call out every single person on Twitter and saying, do not blame Anthony Hopkins. This is not his fault, not even in the slightest. And there are people going, oh yeah, but he didn't even show up. He's 80-something.
83, 84?
He can't... 83, 84. He can't be flying around the world at this time of year with all of the stuff going on, and then have a social distance for like a couple of weeks on the off chance that he wins. Yeah, he won the BAFTA, but he wasn't a dead cert for the Oscar. And he also didn't show up last year when he was nominated for the Two Popes, and no one made a mess of it then. You know, he didn't win. This entire situation could have been avoided if they just did Best Actor, Best Actress, finished on Best Film. It's because they moved this about. And one might say, oh, but then the Academy should know the winners beforehand. I disagree. I think having it on lockdown is better. It means that the secrets can't get out, and then, you know, it ruins, because a lot of people bet money on these things, including myself. And then you can start to rig things, and that's a whole can of worms you don't want to open. So apart from that little controversy, which I put in air quotes because it's not really controversial, it's you know, Chadwick Boseman led a great life and was beloved by many in both the African American community, the African community, and then just by Marvel fans and everyone who fell in love with him in Black Panther or Get On Up or playing not Jackie Robinson, who's the lawyer?
Jackie Brown.
You know, Ivan.
Oh.
Jackie Brown, that's the one.
Strong Thurman. No, that's a joke.
Yes. With one of the litany of brilliant characters that he played and brilliant performances that he gave, and he gave his life to movies. And, you know, there is a time, and it's not now. Don't blame Anthony Hopkins for doing a really, really good performance in a really good film. Grow up. But yeah, other than that, it was just a bit of an odd show. All the award ceremonies have been odd this year. Weirdly enough, the Golden Globes was the most normal. Like normal, I mean. The BAFTAs was a bit, again, that lack of prestige. But hopefully, with all of the films that are slated to come out this year, we're going to have a bumper year for movies, both independent, blockbuster, horror, of all genres. So yeah, that is my review of the Oscars. I'm not going to dive into all of the awards and the winners, because most of these films haven't been released. A lot of the people haven't seen these films. There have been articles about Nomadland is the least successful film in the box office in Oscar history. Well, all of them were going to be that. Shut the hell up. There's a goddamn pandemic on the road. But yeah, that's the Oscars. Report by James.
For the other guys here too. Do you guys feel any particular way about how they did this? Like I know specifically for Inferno as a scholar in terms of Black history importance in the community. I want to know how do you felt about this in particular? Did you feel like it was like a plan in particular, even though kind of James already kind of mentioned it really wasn't like a plan? But do you feel any way particular way about this or no?
I didn't really get to see it, but I knew that Chadwick Boseman would get a really big push, and I know I feel like Daniel Kaluuya is kind of being pushed to kind of be that black main lead character in the movies, especially since we lost Chadwick Boseman. Even though he's not really African American per se,
Well, he's
he
African.
is black, and but he's Black British. But he is being pushed heavily, as you can see from his recent roles with some of our historical characters, even the same thing that the same movie in Black Panther. So he's heavy. I knew those two would get heavily pushed.
I do also want to shout out on similar to what you're saying, Lakeith Stanfield, who was also in Judas and the Black Messiah. He was also in Get Out. He was the guy that was like get out, get out. And he's on a goddamn roll. He is doing project after project, and all of them are great. He's in Atlanta.
He's picking good winners.
Yes.
Yeah. He was the lead in Sorry to Bother You, which is one of the weirdest mainstream movies of the past few years. He's brilliant in it.
He has range. Really
right,
odd range, but range.
Yeah. And also, I just want to shout out, well done the Academy for actually nominating Sacha Baron Cohen and Maria Bakalova for Borat, because comedies and horror films really don't get nominations in the prestige awards, and it's my one thing that I don't like, because I think there's so much good work happening in horror films. The best performances of the past few years have all been in horror films. Elizabeth Moss in The Invisible Man this year, Lupita Nyong'o in Us the year before, Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out, Lakeith Stanfield in Get Out. Like, there is such good work. Hereditary, Midsummer. There's unbelievable work happening, and it's on the fringes. And because it's not a mainstream movie, and it's got a big old 18 rating on it, or in an hard R. Yeah, that's my little rant about horror films. I'll stop now.
All right. Oh, anything else you guys want to talk about with the Oscars before we move into Mortal Kombat and engage our own Mortal Kombat?
I just want to say very quickly, we're not talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though the finale happened there, because we're going to have a spoiler cast in the future, correct? Just want to put that out there.
So we normally give everybody a little bit of time before we start talking about that sort of thing. Like I said, we'll probably be next week, I think, is enough time to go over it. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things about it. We could briefly mention it, I guess, without going into super spoilers or anything like that. I know personally, I watched it and I felt satisfied. I felt like the conclusion to it was good. I felt like it was more kind of like, at least the overall position of the MCU, was more just kind of like an epilogue. Or like it's like oh yeah, this was like sometimes in a game they'll give you an epilogue sequence and it's like, hey yeah, this is like we're just tying up loose ends, like for like Red Dead, in like Red Dead Redemption 2 there's an epilogue portion with John Marston at the end, and it's more just kind of like wrapping up and leading all up until Red Dead Redemption 1. It's similar situation like that, whereas I felt like it was like, hey, main character's gone, these are all the other guys here just kind of figuring out things are going to work out for them in the future and kind of set us with stuff for the next stuff. I felt like they hit it good. So good character development, good introductions, good villain possibilities in the future. But that's as specific as I'm going to get into it before next week. Anyone else?
I really loved it. I'm not finished totally, but I'm at the episode right before the end. I just started the last episode, but I feel like they really touched on African American history and how it's been kind of rough, a bit kind of rough, especially from his perspective as an African American character taking up the mantle, or without saying too much, but yeah.
I thought it was fine, but like I was spoiled with just how good WandaVision was for me. But then again, I love weird genre fiction, so of course I would gravitate more to that.
All right. Anyone else before we move on to Mortal Kombat?
The only thoughts I have can really be shared under spoilery, so I'll get to that next week.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk about Mortal Kombat. So for those of you who are watching the show right now, we are going to do some non-spoilery things first and foremost. We will give you a moment to leave beforehand when you hear the Mortal Kombat theme song. You guys will know it's time to go if you don't want to be spoiled about it. So we're going to kind of go just through the group here. Did everybody in the panel here get to watch Mortal Kombat?
I am not able to watch it because it is not available to watch in the United Kingdom.
Mm.
All right, and this is
Like,
why we're
so
doing a
dumb.
non-spoilery
can't even-
option first. So James can make an
Exactly.
accurate
You
decision after we do this part if he wants to stick around for spoilers.
Like it's not even like you can't even buy the film digitally. It's just not available at all. It's available in nearly every other market, nearly every other English speaking market at least, except here. And I'm very annoyed about it because I would very much like to see Sub-Zero free someone's blood and stab them with it. Are you kidding me? I really want to see that.
All right, so we're going to start this section off with a quick question. Of the group here, how familiar you guys are with Mortal Kombat as a franchise? Have you played the games, watched the movies? How familiar are you guys with it? Let's start with the young end of the group. James, how familiar with Mortal Kombat?
I have seen the film. I have played Mortal Kombat, but I've not delved deep into learning how to play it properly at any sort of competitive level. I might have I think maybe one of them was put on Plus at one point, and I think I might have played it then. My biggest exposure to Mortal Kombat, weirdly, is Injustice, which is the same combat system, but that's it. I really just haven't played the games because I'm not a fighting games guy. But the movie is my main way into it, unfortunately. And playing the theme song every time I need to hype myself up.
Yep. Oh man, that '90s theme song, I always get. Sam, how familiar with Mortal Kombat?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say a 4, maybe a 5 if I'm feeling generous. I haven't played all the games. I've played a little bit here and there. I'm familiar with a lot of the lore and a lot of the characters, but I couldn't tell you about what's happened in Mortal Kombat 11, for example. So mediocre.
Okay. All right. Bruno?
I have played at least the first 2 and 10. I really love 10. Of course, I watched the original movie before this. I think I watched the second one, but I don't really remember that one. I tried to watch a little bit of the first one again at work before the podcast to get my judgment on it, comparison.
Okay. Shogun?
Let's see. I think I've played nearly every Mortal Kombat game that's ever came out. Not that I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan, or I'm not even really a big fighter fan, but it's one of those things that's kind of like a family thing. I grew up around my older cousins who were definitely into it, so anything that's couch co-op was always fun. So that's my extent of playing mostly fighters and sports games in general is stuff like that. But I've seen the early '90s or the '90s movies. And then I also bought randomly I saw it. There was a YouTube series that was made not too long ago, and there's a Blu-ray version of it, so I bought that and I watched it. I honestly I can't even tell you what the fuck happened in that movie. Yeah, it was, I guess, not memorable. Maybe I should go back and watch it and see, but yeah, so I'm pretty familiar with the franchise, not super familiar about the lore, but I know a bit about it.
All right, cool. For me, nothing. The most Mortal Kombat experience I ever had is I played about 10 minutes of Mortal Kombat X. That's it. Never seen the movies. Never played the games ever. And it's not because of fighting games. I played Injustice 1 and 2. I even played ones that even NetherRealm made. But I just never really got into Mortal Kombat in particular, and so I just never cared for it particularly. But anyway, that's kind of my issue with it. But I watched the movie and I liked it. I had a good time. I don't know about you guys, but it was one of those movies where it's just hokey and dumb, and it's just great for the visuals, and I had a good time. Like 7 out of 10. Like turn on my brain and watch. It was fun, good times. I mean,
Yeah, I'll back you up. I'll back you up very quickly since we're in the non-spoiler. Like, it was stupid, but it knew it was stupid. That's the way I look at it. Like, this film knew exactly what it was. It didn't try to be anything else. They got right to the chase. If I have a complaint, really, Cole Young is boring. Like, Cole Young is not a fun protagonist. He's very, I'm here to be vaguely hot with my shirt off, and and that's good. Like, good for anyone who goes that way. That's fine, but he's not interesting. It's like, come on, let me get to Scorpion, let me get to Sub-Zero, let me get to Raiden, etc., etc. But when it gets to that stuff, it's great. And also, unlike the original Mortal Kombat film that everyone loves so much, this one actually has fatalities. This one actually has blood. Kano is a blast. I want to say that. Like, I hate him. I hate his guts, but I love to hate him. Kano is so much fun. And it's just fun. I had a stupid good time with it.
So let me ask you this.
I want to echo. Oh, go ahead.
I was just because as a person who hasn't seen it, is it gory and violent for the sake of being gory and violent, or is it like not tasteful, but like somewhere between? I think you know what I'm trying to say, Sam.
Yeah.
It's not like so violent like a Tarantino movie where it becomes a joke. Like, you want to still feel it, but you don't want to like go.
It kind of hangs in the middle somewhere. It's like, it's actually a lot less gory than I expected it to be. There are just like, there's a handful of moments where it gets kind of like, yeah, oh my god, dude got cut open kind of thing. But like, it's definitely not overdone to make it like to where it loses its luster. So it's good, and the fighting, the choreography, some of the hits these guys take look like you feel it. It's one of those things that make you kind of reel back and be like, ooh, like I feel, like if you saw that happen in real life, you'd probably be into the fight, but you kind of cringe a bit. So it's definitely not over the top. It's really the fighting and the violence and the gore is really the best aspect of the movie in general, in my opinion.
Yeah, I felt like the blood, at least that the blood aspect was about appropriate levels of it, where it wasn't like, I guess maybe like some of the, like, fatality scenes and stuff. Like, yeah, it's pretty gory, but I didn't feel like it was out of character, if that makes sense, for the movie.
It's not Tarantino level. I heard James. I heard you say Tarantino. It's nowhere near close to Tarantino. It's like, it's gory, but it's reserved for the fatalities. It's reserved for the, oh my god, like that guy just got his spine ripped out, or oh my god, they just tore that woman in half. Like, it's reserved for that, and otherwise it's just a lot of kicking and punching.
All right, tastefully done. Tasteful gore.
I agree. And I could touch on the comparisons to the first one. As far as the film goes, to me, later on, I kind of felt like it was, after watching, I felt like it was a good YouTube premium movie. It didn't feel like a blockbuster. It didn't feel like they were shooting for that. And as far as the fighting scenes, is much better than the first one. But I think that also comes with, time and better choreograph and CGI, way better CGI than the 90s. So stuff like that. But the story, we'll get into that part, and I'll talk more on that.
Yeah.
As far as comparisons.
All right, so non-spoilery gripes, or like, well, let's we'll do highs and lows. What was the best part of the movie for you, and the worst part of the movie for you, without getting into spoilers, if it's possible?
I'd say honestly the best part of the movie for me is the opening scene. I just felt like it did well to really kind of encompass this feel of what was an essential part of the lore as far as a rivalry goes. And then I'd say the worst part for me, like, and I say this like not that it's super terrible. It really made me laugh, but it really just kind of made me reel back a bit and realize this is not a super serious like kung fu type movie. It's just every time somebody quoted like some iconic line or something like that from the game, and it always just felt so forced and out of place and made no sense to say that in a real life situation. But again, I'm not upset about it, but it did make me just be like, oh my God, you guys really did just do that. And I'll get more into specifics when we get into the spoiler part of it.
You can't start applying logic to the Mortal Kombat movie. That's not a thing.
Like, okay, I will, without getting into like spoilers or anything like that. I feel like I agree that it could have done something that was more blended in, so it wasn't just so blatantly obvious. For example, one of the characters says,
"Is it really as bad? Is it like, and that's why this is Lord of the Rings 3: The Return of the King"?
No, it's not that bad. Well, I mean, they say Mortal Kombat a lot, so I mean, I don't know.
But did they shout? Okay, right. I don't want to know when, and I don't want to know how. Does the theme appear in the film?
Yes.
Yes.
For a brief minute.
Okay.
It's hype. I'll say that. I'm not going to say anything else, but I will say it's.
I'm done. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Because I will watch this film, and I think it might be getting a cinema release in the UK when we open cinemas in 3 weeks. Yeah. So yeah, I just feel like it's going to be one of those movies that you're going to put on with like 10 people who want to see it, and when they say those lines, it's going to be
like that.
Yeah.
But like, I definitely see it. Like, yeah, if it was in that context, I think they would have been okay. But like, when you're sitting at home watching it, it's just like, okay. Like so the example that comes to mind, that one character says like flawless victory, and no context or anything prior, like just says flawless victory, and it's just like, okay. I mean, if the fight, like, if I were like try to like, if I was a screenwriter or something like that, at least try to mask it. Like, the fight would have taken place like on a busy street, and like some random guy like watches this total otage, and then comes around like, "Wow, man, that was a flawless victory!" Like, it's just something dumb like that, but at least that much.
Is it worse than when Ronda Rousey did an actual match on a pay-per-view for WWE, like dressed as Sonya, doing her lines during the match?
I had no clue about this. I haven't watched wrestling
Me neither.
so long.
I am so surprised.
Ronda was the voice of Sonya in 11, right?
Yeah,
she was
10. I think it was 10, right?
Or was it 10? I think it was 10.
Yeah,
10. Beg your pardon.
Was it 10?
I think so.
That was she was relevant a while ago.
I'm gonna look it up.
Jesus.
And she had a match against, I think it was Sonya, one of the Riot Squad. I think it was just before her WrestleMania match, and she did it in cosplay, and then she just beat up a girl for like 5 minutes, and just said a bunch of Sonya's lines during the fight, and then like got her just before in the armbar position, and just yelled out "Finish her!" and then put her in the armbar.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was 11. She was Sonya in 11.
11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did 11 like just come out?
Yeah, that's the newest one.
2 years ago?
3 years
Yeah,
ago?
2019. Because they're on.
yeah, it's the newest.
NetherRealm does games on a 2-year cycle, so every 2 years it's like here's a Mortal Kombat, then 2 years later here's an Injustice. So actually, assuming the pandemic hasn't slowed them down, and to be fair, the pandemic has probably slowed them down, we should be getting an Injustice 3 reveal later this year.
Okay.
No, I
Awesome.
doubt it.
We'll see.
I guess I'll go as far as best moment. Has to be near the end when we see.
I might have to duck out now if we're diving into.
No spoiler.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Near the end, we get some mascot love. That's all I'm just gonna say.
Okay.
Mascot love.
Right.
And the worst part for me, of course, besides the main protagonist being boring, it has to be all this build-up, like this between time stuff, waiting for people to be who they really are that we see in games and play. So their full potential.
Yeah. All right.
But if you see someone at the full potential, like at the moment they walk on screen, where can they go? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if Johnny Cage walks on screen and he's just immediately amazing, that's it. He can't go anywhere. He can only get worse. And
I mean, isn't that secretly what Johnny Cage is, though? But I digress.
I don't know. I just picked a random name out of the air and hoped it.
No, I didn't mean like in the movie. I didn't mean in the movie. I meant in general. That's Johnny Cage. He really only just gets worse as time goes along. But whatever.
Fair enough. I have no idea, but there you go.
Oh, okay.
I know his name from the song. That's it.
Dan, with best and worst, highs and lows.
I can't give my high with okay, all right. I'm trying to find a non-spoiler way to say this. My high is a hype moment towards the end. It's near the very end. That's the most I can say. I think y'all know what I'm talking about. It should be pretty obvious. The low is just it's Cole Young. Like, I'm sorry. It's nothing against the actor. I like the actor, but Cole Young is not an interesting character. Like, every time he's the focus, it's like, dude, seriously, I don't care. Get back to Raiden. Get back to Sonya Blade. Get back to the villains in Outworld. Like, get back to literally anyone that isn't named Cole Young. Anytime that he's but at the same time, I will say he kind of is in the spirit of Mortal Kombat, because every Mortal Kombat game introduces one or two nobodies that nobody likes. That nobody's like, who is this? Who is this random new? Like, you know, but to be fair, that's the spirit of the game.
Random noob is supposed to be you, the player. So, like, of course, the main character is going to be the least interesting person, because they're supposed to be the audience surrogate, so they can go around meeting people, and so you feel like you're meeting these people. And that's the problem.
That's the problem, James.
Like, whoa, they're awesome, and then you, the audience, go, yeah, they are awesome. Let's watch them.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I agree with you in theory, but in practice, I would actually argue Kano is more of the audience surrogate. Without spoilers, would y'all agree?
Totally down. I loved Kano.
Yeah. Yeah. Kano could have definitely just served that.
He was the best.
I know why they decided to go with having a new character, because like by default, what's the other guy's name? The long-haired monk character. Now with the hat, with the fire. Liu Kang. Wasn't he like the main character of the other movies?
Yes, he was the main character of the first one.
He's kind of the protagonist of the games too, arguably.
I kind of believe like he doesn't really to set its own identity. They couldn't have him be the main guy either. Like I understand that, and I'm actually fine with that choice to do that instead. But anyway, that's my kind of thing about it. My highs and lows though. My highs. I love the fact that they do as much as they can to have as many possible matchups as possible. There are a lot of fights for this film, so I was very happy with that. They made it show it made it not look like it was completely forced, at least in terms of all the fights that they go down. I do give it props for that. My lows, they give a lot of Scorpion love, and like, now tell me, is Scorpion nearly this important in every other game? Like, I know he's like the
Yes.
most popular
He
character.
is
Yes.
mascot. They pretty much it's either him, Sub-Zero. I think Liu Kang are like mascot. I'll probably put Liu Kang above Sub-Zero, but it's
Yeah,
either
yeah,
Scorpion, yeah, Liu Kang.
Liu Kang is
Those are the
like the
mascots.
main protagonist, but the Scorpion Sub-Zero dynamic is the main rivalry.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Every trailer they'll go for that usually.
No Reptar?
Are you asking in the movie or saying it just in general?
You said who?
In just in
Reptile.
general. Again, just naming people I've heard.
Oh, do you want us to confirm?
Reptile has been consistently snubbed in almost every iteration of anything Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
ever.
This is probably the most love he's gotten in a while, and that's not saying
Yeah.
anything. That's
Yeah.
not saying anything at all.
Compared to the '90s film, oh my God, it's much better the way he looks.
Yeah, the CGI was definitely
Oh my God.
god tier above.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. Speaking of CGI, I want to say this too before we move into the spoiler territory too. Jax's arms. I'm very confused. Like, I'm very very confused, at least in terms of the thought process here. Or like this is another Warner Brothers property, so like it's the same overall production. Like they had a budget, but for whatever reason, Jax's arms look way better than all of Cyborg in Justice League. Like in terms of like, it looks believable. It looks like actual tech. It doesn't just look like CGI thing. And I was like, I'm completely stunned here because I know like the production budget, they definitely had to have more money than than Mortal Kombat. Like I
Most
can't
definitely.
believe that they were able to make it look better and more realistic than that, like Cyborg. But so I give him props for that, but that's not a lot of props to give. But all right, anything else before we move into spoilers? All right, I take that as a we're gonna move into spoilers. So if you guys are watching from home, we're gonna move into some spoiler territory now. These are very fun things that we like to do here. So if you have a moment, we're gonna give you a chance to leave, so you can get out here. So enjoy some Mortal Kombat theme. All right. So
All right, goodbye, everyone.
See
all right, see you, James. All right, James is clear. So spoilers, huh? Who wants to kick us
man,
off?
All
where to start?
right.
I mean, I'll go first because I just don't have much to say. I think it's, for one, this isn't a complaint. This is just an observation. It's very funny that the plot of this film is them not having a tournament when it ends up being a tournament anyways. Like the plot, if you for some reason are listening to us but you haven't watched it but you still want to hear the spoilers, is that Outworld is cheating and they're just going to take out the champions beforehand, and that's fine. But then it literally ends up being, oh, we're going to give them a tournament anyway because Raiden can teleport people, so we're going to have the matchups we want to have and manipulate to our advantage and turn the tables. I'm not complaining. I just thought it was funny that it ended up that way. Two other very quick things. One, I see a lot of people complaining about like Goro dying or Sub-Zero dying. Yo, these people are going to come back to life. Like, they're so going to come back to life. It's not even fun. It's just, it happens. They find a way. Even Kung Lao is probably going to come back to life. Probably.
Hell, that happens in the games, too.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's another thing. That's kind of a dumb complaint. Number 3, holy crap, the hype moment has to go to Scorpion's entrance with the theme. That just that stole the movie for me. That was like, I actually cheered and jumped up in my seat. That was good. I loved it.
For the classic get over here. Yep. I know for me, I just is kind of like, I enjoyed it, like I said. I didn't really. What we were talking about before was like something's kind of felt really forced. Like when the guy with the hat, again, I don't know anybody's name at this point. Like when the guy with the hat yells like flawless victory.
Wow.
It was like, this is dumb.
I literally face palmed and shook my head when he said that. I was just like, where did you get that from? And what kills me the most about that part is when he says it, the screen then after it sits on him, it shoots to freaking oh goddamn, how am I forgetting his name right now? Shang Tsung. It shoots to him sitting there kind of like deadpanning, and I'm just like, yeah, that's your line. I don't like, they know that's your line, so I don't know why I was like, oh my God, like between that and between Liu Kang saying flawless victory for Kung Lao, and then in the test your might line, I was just like, oh my God. I do one thing I really did appreciate that they did of the fan servicey kind of shit that they did like that was when they were training to get their Arcana, which we can get into that and kind of discuss why people really hate that concept. But when they were training for that, and it was Liu Kang versus Kano, and he kept doing the leg sweep on him, and it's just like that was the kind of subtlety that all the rest of that needed, because anybody watching that would just be laughing and being like, oh man, he's getting tricked. But anybody who plays the games and has played historically would see that and be like, yep, that's a noob right there. That's somebody who's just either a noob or they just want to just spam to get an easy win. And it was so subtle, but it was done so well. And I wish that they could have handled more of those moments like that.
Yes. Kano was every gamer when he said, is this the only move you know? When he was getting tripped.
Exactly.
Loved it. But I also, opposite of you guys, I kind of love the cheesy, flawless victory. I kind of liked it.
It was just so ham-fisted. It was just like, why would you say that? Like,
I love the cheese a little bit.
Why would you say that? I get it. I get that it's cheesy, but it's just like, but why? But why?
They definitely could have set it up better. Also, all the Scorpion love in the end. I was waiting for it the whole film. I'm like, come on, baby, bring the mascot. I'm a little biased. Fire. Hey.
So I'm pretty sure we all it was so obvious that Cole was a descendant of Scorpion. I'm pretty sure that was kind of just set up from the beginning when you go from Raiden dropping him off to it going straight to him. It's just like, okay, I see where this is going now. Am I the only one here that thought that he was going to end up becoming a new Scorpion?
Yeah, towards the end, like when they showed his Kana show up, I was like, gonna be Scorpion or something like that. I was like, yeah, I don't like that.
Nah.
Yeah, for a second, as it was building up and into him becoming a character, I was assuming he was going to be the new Scorpion, and then it didn't make sense going with the lore. But not everything in there again was very lore accurate. There were some kind of liberties taken here and there, but I thought because he was a descendant, he was going to become Scorpion and I don't know, get good at fighting and end up being the one to fight Sub-Zero in the end. So that was my thought. But yeah, then he just becomes this weird random character with no name that nobody knows yet. That's probably
Yep.
going to end up being in some
In the
DLC
game.
somewhere.
Yeah, that is
Oh.
one thing I will say. I felt like this was a really long trailer for Cole to be introduced in Mortal Kombat 11 DLC or the next Mortal Kombat game. Like I just felt like this is like,
Yeah.
hey, we want to make an MMA fighter character. Here we go. That's it.
And I feel like his power is kind of OP to some degree, but I feel like he needed it because I felt like he was a punching bag. And he's like, oh,
I actually
okay.
didn't mind that. That's like the one thing about him I was okay with is like, oh, I
Mhm.
get it. He's good at taking punches. It's
Right.
funny. So his ability is literally he can take hits and just absorb the energy. Like, all right, that's fine.
Yep, and give it back. Yep.
So my
I thought
question
it was kind
though,
of cool too.
my question because I don't know if this is the case or not. So like, isn't Kano
Mhm.
like a cyborg or something in the games?
No.
He's just got
No.
this
Brought back to
cybernetic
life.
laser eye.
So he is a
It's just
cyborg.
the eye.
Yes,
It's just his eyeball. Like it's literally just his eyeball. And so like
yeah.
he can magically generate. He has a robotic eye that gives a laser. Tomato. It's like
Okay.
it's a really minor difference in the grand scheme of things.
It was
Okay.
probably something he got, bought. Like, hey, install a laser beam eye in the other movie and lore probably, but this one, of course, is magic. So
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure because I was like, maybe they thought like, hey, having two cyborgs would be too much. Maybe. So, I don't know.
there is a cyborg, but he's not in the film.
Yeah. So okay. So
Oh, yeah.
I will say I was kind of peeved that they killed off Kano. So like in this film, I feel like they could have gotten a little more out of him, like in at least one more movie. As it's just used basically the heavy lifter.
Did you not hear what I said? Like,
I
dude,
know.
He's coming back to life. Literally everyone
everybody
is
is.
coming back to life. I promise you.
But I meant more in terms of that
That's-
one because I know somebody had to die so Sonya could get her mark and feel better. And I felt like I wish it was kind of like Cabal or someone like that, but I don't know.
Nah.
Now,
If you ever watch the first film, they pretty much did the same thing again where she kills him because they've always like had this lust hate relationship. He lusts after her kind of sorta, and she doesn't. She hates him. So
Yeah. So they did a really decent job of setting them up to be these mortal enemies in their rivalry that they have. But yeah, it was crazy because like seeing the first trailer of it kind of made him look like he was aligned with Earthrealm in that, and it was kind of weird. It's like, why would he be on the good guys team? And then as soon as he comes on screen and he's chained up, you're like, got it, you got me. All right, let's see how this goes. And then the dude proceeds to fucking steal the show, and he gave one of the best performances of the entire fucking movie.
Yes, he was the most accurate character I think out of all of them. He was the most. He's in the end, it's his greed and his own selfish desires that always is like it's Kano over everybody. He doesn't really have a side unless you have the most money.
Yeah. All right. So anything else about Mortal Kombat? There was something else I was going to bring up.
Well, in comparisons to the original film, I feel like this one, yes, I feel like it's better as far as like time, like the choreographs, the CGI. I just don't know about the story though. And then also, it doesn't feel like a big budget film. Like I said before, it feels like a YouTube Premium high cost film for that.
Well,
it didn't feel like they went on out.
Well, it had a very small budget. This is why a sequel is basically guaranteed. It only had a $55 million budget. That's tiny for big films these days.
Well, yeah,
Like,
these
for
days,
big
yeah.
movies, that's nothing. That's skimping. So at the same time, that's going to help it because it's already made $50 million at the theaters. And so you combine that with the HBO Max, like it pushing subscriptions, like sequels are going to happen, no question.
Yeah,
That's
this
good to
movie
know.
was definitely a setup for a franchise
Most
that
definitely.
they're building
Yeah.
out. So,
And they set up at a good part
uh,
too. Like they could pick it up almost immediately. Because they talked about before, like Mortal Kombat's like scheduled to happen anyway, and like they said, like less than a fortnight because it's like by the next full moon they were gonna fight, and like Mortal Kombat's gonna happen anyway. They could literally pick up right afterwards.
Yep. And then also that's another thing. It felt like a prequel.
Yeah.
I think that's what they pretty much set it up to be. It's like, oh, it's Mortal Kombat, supposed to be the tournament, but really wasn't, like Sam has said earlier. But I feel like, hey, the next one's gonna probably even be better, especially since they're missing characters. And that's another comparison with the old film. I didn't realize this, but Jax was not in the original film. He was in the original film, but not in the Jax we all know and love aspect. He was just there as a little side character by Sonya for a little bit until she goes off to chase Kano into the tournament area.
that is right. I recall that.
So yeah, and then also they're missing Katana in the new one. So who knows? There's going to be a few characters, and who knows how many more they add in.
Yeah, they'll probably introduce Katana with Sindel and Shao Kahn and build up that whole family dynamic thing that they have. And man, there's just so many characters in I mean, when you really think about it over the life of this, I mean, like you said, the actual cyborgs and Cyrex and Sector and of course we know of course they're setting up Noob Sabat to be in here, which he wasn't in either of the originals, the first two movies. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, because they only, like, in the original one, it wasn't. I don't even think it was the original. I think it was in the second one where Sub-Zero even mentioned he had a brother, and then they never really even dug into that. That was just kind of like the end of it. He was like, "Oh yeah, that was my older brother," kind of thing. That was an asshole, and then they just shoo that along. So yeah, this definitely has the potential to go somewhere, especially with introducing more characters. Hopefully they don't try to rush it as much story wise as they did with this one. I think they tried to put a lot of the backstory into, like, some of these main characters, and hopefully that gives them time to kind of flesh out some more of the other characters that they're going to bring along that are really pivotal to the lore and to the franchise going forward.
Yes, and some of the characters I will say, like who they picked, far as like Liu Kang, I don't like the way he looked. He felt more cruiserweight this time around, even though he's not supposed to be a huge guy. The original kind of felt like heavyweight, like regular size, 200 pound or something. This guy felt like a buck 50 or something. That's what he seemed. But he was built. He couldn't move. Then also Raiden at this, he didn't feel like an old god. He just felt like a guy with thunder powers. He didn't feel like
Dude,
that.
I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. But Highlander was Anchorman refers to him from the first one. But what I looked his white hair, but he has thunder and lightning, powers. He's a god now. That's kind of who he reminds me of with his voice. It's kind of funny. He's comedic relief in some degree in the first one.
I'll say that as much as I don't hate this movie. I think it's good. I really enjoyed it. As much as I like this movie, the stories in the most recent NetherRealm games are just grades above this. And if you enjoyed the movie, you have to play through those campaigns because those stories are so well done, just phenomenal. Like I hadn't played through Mortal Kombat 11 up until a couple of weeks ago, and I burned through that in one weekend. For both the main campaign and the Aftermath DLC campaign. And it was the Aftermath DLC is a bit shorter, but like the story is just so well done, dude. And it does a better job of fleshing out these characters to a degree than I mean they're already fleshed out by that point anyway, but it does a better job of handling the characters and the movie really does take kind of after the it takes after what that kind of structure that they put into it is, but it does it so much better than this movie did. But hopefully the next movie is going to be good, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with this going forward.
All right. So, anything else on Mortal Kombat before we wrap things up for the evening? Yes, no, maybe so.
Nope, I'm good on my end.
All right. Anything want to add, Sam?
I'm good.
No, that's sorry. I was on mute there because there's some noise in the background. I said what I want to say. Like, go watch it. It's on HBO Max. Shout out to HBO Max, as I've been saying. HBO Max stays rocking, and I'm glad this was on there because I can't quite go to a theater yet. Soon, hopefully, but not quite yet. So really appreciate it.
All right. Cool. All right. So we're gonna wrap things up here. Brief announcement. So we're partnering up with some local game shops around the area. The first one to join our cause is based out of Greensboro, North Carolina, called Lost Ark Video Games. So this is one actually in my hometown. They have a lot of really cool stuff for you guys to go and check out. So if you guys are around in North Carolina, in Greensboro, North Carolina, there is a game shop. They have pretty much anything you could possibly want. Normally, what they do is they actually have video games that you can actually go and play. You pay them like $10. You go in, like they have an open arcade for you. You can play as much as you want until your heart's content. It's a pass, good for the day. You can leave, come back, doesn't matter. You'll have a wristband. You're good to go. They've been doing this for a couple of years. It's great. Like you can play some nice pinball games. They also have some console games there as well as some classics. I played Power Stone on an arcade machine, which was really great. I really enjoyed that time. But they've been out of commission for the last little bit there. They needed a nice little bump, so we took a little sponsorship from them. I just kind of give them some love. So please go check them out if you're in this area. Hopefully we'll have some other groups here for you guys to go and support. We'll keep you posted. So we're having a good time doing that. But we're gonna do our outros. First off, we're gonna do our guests for the evening. Perfect show. Where can the good people find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Perfect Shogun, all one word. Where I try to stay out of trouble and not get banned by talking smack to people. But that's all in the past. No, man, I'm on Xbox. I'm also Perfect Shogun with a space in between. You can find me on PlayStation at perfect_shogun, and I'm not about to even look up what my Switch code is. So yeah, and there's not much to play multiplayer on there anyway. So, anywho, that's me, and that's where you can find me. And love, peace, keep on gaming, guys.
All right. And Inferno, where can the good people find you, sir?
All right. Well, you can catch me on Twitter as Lord Attic likes to say. Shout out to him. Find me on Twitter at First Saint Inferno, where you can find the hottest, cringy opinions on games and politics sometimes. And then also, you could find me on Xbox, where I mostly play. Capital MR space 22X Inferno. Or
Inferno 22X.
for 22X, yeah. I'm sorry. So Yeah, that's where I'm in party chat, spicy, random conversations with some of my crazy friends. And Anchorman's usually along for the ride. So you can catch me there.
All right, and Sam?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's Tolbert. Big shout out and thank you to everybody who was joining us today for all this Mortal Kombat talk and all that. And yeah, anything I'm writing, you can actually catch all that over at Tech Radar for now. My backlog of work is at Windows Central, Android Central, and iMore. And I actually have something really big coming tomorrow. Something I've been working on for months in the plural. So please be excited.
Excellent. All right, and I'm Anchorman V2. You can find me on Xbox, PlayStation, Twitch, Anchorman V2. You guys want to hit me up on Twitter? It's Multiverse Show. Is the official the Twitter account I'm going to be using from now on for various reasons. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning up. We really guys really appreciate it. Shout out to our guests for the evening, kind of bringing up the rear, especially adding some nice content to this Mortal Kombat talk. Hope you guys will join us for our the next time we have Mortal Kombat on our discussion topics. So, but thank you guys for tuning in. We really do appreciate everybody coming out and supporting the show every week. We're gonna move it to 7 o'clock for the foreseeable future. It really works out better for everybody involved. So, thank you everybody for tuning up. So, hope you have a great day. It's from the Multiverse Show, greatest show on Mondays, and we are out of here.